Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Elevation Association Experience Podcasts. Sorry, I'm laughing today. We're your hosts, Dr. Dan Nelson, Dr. Jared Hill, and joining us from his data cave is the one and only Mr. Ryan Passey. Um, Ryan was just telling us how much he loves the podcast and enjoys being, screen time, all that stuff. So we'll probably
Yep.
give the lion's share of the time to him just to bask in the sunlight.
Awesome.
He is the executive director of Dental Legacy Foundation, so really he's
Yeah, that's a
we're
good point, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So, um, not me, but Ryan and Jared are coming hot off the heels of a highly successful Dental Legacy Foundation trip to Tanzania, Africa, Tigi, Tanzania. And wanted to give them an opportunity to tell you guys some pretty cool stories, some things that are happening over there, the impact that Dental Legacy Foundation is having, and the impact that Tanzania is having on us. So, without further ado, Jared, why don't you give us a little bit of an overview, a quick just report on the goings, who went, and how long you were there.
Yeah, we had a great trip this year. It's Dental Legacy Foundation. We usually go at least once, usually twice a year. If you're interested in going on a humanitarian trip, what the time of year varies when we go. We're kind of settling into two times, kind of settling into the end of May, beginning of June is one trip. And then October, mid-October, usually tends to be a second trip. Having said that, if you have a group of, certain amount of doctors and people that want to go, we could probably arrange a kind of a special trip if we need to. But we love to take as many people as we can over there. And Dental Legacy Foundation is a foundation that started out doing dentistry. Our goal and our mission is to increase access to oral health care across Tanzania. And we've incorporated a lot of other projects along the way. So this time we took about 25 volunteers, right? Is that where we ended up?
Yeah, I think we ended up right on 25. Yeah.
Yeah, 25 volunteers. And of those 25 volunteers, there were only 2 dentists that went on this trip. So it
Yeah.
was an interesting balance of volunteers versus dentists. We had a
Come
dentist,
on.
a dentist.
Come on, Dennis, step up. Yeah, we got outmatched big time this last trip. We need some
Seriously.
volunteers.
We had
Sorry.
Dr. Tom Dance from Coeur d'Alene who came. He was awesome. He's a pediatric dentist. We'd never met Tom before. Tom's son had served a mission in Tanzania, so speaks Swahili fluently. So that's how we got connected and made that connection. And Tom came, and Tom and I were in the clinic the whole week. And then we had also, we live in Blaine County, Idaho, in Sun Valley. And one of our patients is an EMS, and she said, "Hey, is it something that we can volunteer? Can we help out? You guys are at a hospital. We are emergency response." And we said, "Sure, let's see." And so we talked to Father Justin, and he said, "Absolutely, we could use some emergency room training and so forth." So local hats off to the local EMS crew. They got an awesome group together. They took over 4 people with us and raised some funds on their own, and brought so many bags full of supplies and CPR dummies and training supplies. And it was just like Christmas morning for Brother Andrea over there, who is, he's the head of the hospital over there. And for him, it was an amazing experience. We'll get into some of those experiences. So we had some EMS crew, we had some other volunteers, we had a hygienist come. Marin's sister Janie is a hygienist, has been a hygienist for about 30 years, and her husband came. My brother came and his wife. He's the administrative director of the University of Utah Asia campus over in Korea, and he brought with him a Paul and the film crew from the University of Utah Asia campus. They did a documentary. We'll talk about that as well. It was a lot of different people who came. We had Caitlin from Dental Intel. Dental Intel has been a huge supporter of what we've done. I've donated and helped and helped the foundation in a lot of ways. So they sent Caitlin, who was a huge help in the clinic. She had no dental background per se, but just jumped in and gave her whole heart. So we had a lot of a variety of different volunteers that were there, and they
Yeah.
all stepped in and helped. Yeah, Jared Galovich and his daughter Ruby were there. Jared is a longtime board member of Dental Legacy Foundation and is a mover and shaker. He's the one that helps. He sees a need and he gets stuff done. He is his mind is always running on how we can help, and so those were the volunteers that went, and then and we had a great successful week.
So, Ryan, will you take a second? I mean, what I like about one of the cool things about Dental Legacy Foundation is our mission is specifically our focus is dental, but there's so many opportunities that are presented to us, and we've actually broke the mold a little bit, and we've gone off the traditional trail for one of these mission trips, in that we do a lot of peripheral work outside of dentistry. And with that in mind, we do get a variety of volunteers, right, coming from all walks of life. So with that in mind, Ryan, will you kind of like, if I'm cold to this, if I'm just hearing about Dental Legacy Foundation, can you kind of walk us through what is a trip over there like? Can you kind of lay out like, okay, this is what you'll experience, this is what it's like. Kind of talk about what you've been over there more than any of us. So and I think you've experienced Africa in more ways than any of us. So if you could explain what a trip is like over there, that would be awesome.
Well, it's each trip's definitely different, just based on the volunteers that come over and kind of help contribute and get in and get to work. But the fun thing has been, ever since we started, we didn't know what we were getting into when we started, this 4 or 5 years ago, and then it's just continued to evolve, just based on like all the need and the opportunities, and just partnering with the Society of the Precious Blood over there. And a typical trip can look so different, just based on the volunteers that are coming over. But we're blessed to work with St. Gaspar Hospital, which is a referral and teaching hospital over in Itigi, Tanzania. It is Itigi is not a very big city, but it services like a geographical area of about 2 million people that have to come into this hospital. And it's a level 5 hospital, which in Tanzania there's 6 levels. So it's a higher up hospital with a lot of infrastructure, a lot of capability, very capable doctors and nurses, and they have a nursing college of about 300 students there, in addition to staff and everything going on. And so, you know, as we've kind of gone in and embraced our partnership with them, what started out as dental has then kind of like blossomed into, well, how else can we help in these other areas of what they've got going on over in Atihi? And again, depending on the group of people coming over, whether it's an oral surgeon or nurses or EMS group this time, like we've been able to kind of get in and work with the um, just the operations that are going on there, the vocational school, just these different areas that kind of provide opportunities. So, as far as what a typical trip looks like, is it kind of looks like, we gear up with a team of experts, and then we look at like, how can we, utilize their skill set to kind of bring value and um, help the community that we're involved in over there. And how do we do that? We've got a trip coming up in, October this year. We've got like 4 nurses coming over. So, we're already starting to get things in place to, like, what things would these nurses like to contribute? What topics would they like to teach? How would the hospital like to utilize them in the nursing school, in the hospital, those kind of things, as well as like the dentistry that's going on all the time. And so, and we've done everything from plant trees to playground equipment to paint to planting crops to building computer labs, water projects, the new NICU that just went in this last trip that we were down there. So A typical trip is just, to get in, help build the community, help support it, and in any way. And like I said, it's always different. This trip was fantastic with the EMS group. They weren't sure what to expect, coming in. And we were like, well, this is kind of like our first trip for us. This is like your first trip for you. Like, you're going to come see what the need is. And then by the time you leave, you're going to go back with so many ideas and so many thoughts about how you can come back and contribute that, it's going to take a life of its own once you step foot there and start establishing friendships, relationships, seeing the needs. And that's exactly what happened. They got over there, rolled up their sleeves, got busy, and things just happened every day that by the time they left, they're already starting to, load up for their next trip in October as well, and come back, and then now they have a vision for what they want to come back and train 12 EMS, like paramedics, right? That's their goal coming back, is like, we really want to, teach 12 people EMS skill. That's our next goal. So it's kind of fun to see how that's taking a life of its own, and it just kind of, magic happens. The community is fantastic, and the people are so genuine, and there's such a need over there that it just kind of snowballs every time we go. Just continues to grow, and each volunteer brings something and contributes, and then it's like planting the seed. It just takes off, and we've really been able to watch just the impact that everybody's had on the area year over year over year over year. And it's so different now than it was when we started, so different. So,
I'll,
Yes.
I'll interject a little insight here too, Dan, on this
Yeah.
as far as the trip goes.
Yeah, and if you'd include, Jared, just talking more specifically about the dental clinic as well, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So when you get there, it's a long trip there. We're traveling to the other side of the world. And so it's a long ways to get there, but we've figured out the most efficient way to get there. And by the time you get there, you're pretty tired and worn out. So a lot of times we build a little bit of rest in the first day, a little bit of just time to recover, but also some time to interact socially with the staff of the hospital and surrounding neighbors. Meaning, if you want to go and unpack and take a nap and relax and kind of walk around the hospital campus, that's an option as well. We also almost always set up some sort of fun, semi-competitive basketball game or soccer game or volleyball game. And one thing that we noticed this year is we set up a basketball game, and the community showed up, meaning the players were there, yes, but it turned into an incredible fun community event where people were standing around, they were watching, they were talking. We brought the speaker, we were playing music. They had a referee who was keeping track of time and score, and it was, you could tell that it was just a fun interaction, a way to break down some of the barriers before you come in and try to project yourself as a professional or someone to help. It's more like, you know what, we want to be part of the community. We want to help where we can, but you're also breaking down these barriers. We're creating these relationships of trust before you start. And so that's how these trips almost always start. And then once you do that, then we dive into the actual schedule and we divide and conquer. You can't put 25 people into the dental clinic. So, you put 3, 4 doctors, some volunteers to run, help sterilization, to help assist, to, interact with the kids who are waiting, hand out toys, hand out hygiene kits, whatever that entails. We usually have 6, 8, 10 people, whatever it is in that clinic. And then Ryan will often take some of the other volunteers to help in other projects that we have going on, whether that be this time it was help transfer some of the equipment from the old NICU into the new NICU, including transfer some of the preemies babies, which is a highlight for a lot of people that were there. Sometimes you'll take a half a day, you'll go to the vocational school and you will interact with the students there and whatever, and help out in whatever way you need to there. Sometimes you will go to the primary schools and take hygiene kits and toys and little treats and teach them how to brush teeth and walk through them, we sit with them. My brother, who didn't know nothing about dentistry, just sat with the kids. The kids actually pulled him down to sit on his lap and surrounded him and just loved him. And just those experiences that you just don't you can't replicate here. The kids don't speak English. My brother doesn't speak Swahili, and it didn't matter one bit. You just have this immediate shared connection when you're trying to help somebody. So we spend the next 3 or 4 days doing that, where we divide and conquer whatever the project may be. If you're a dentist or a hygienist, you'll probably be either in the clinic or in the schools helping people. This time, because there were only 2 of us dentists, we need more dentists. Because there were only 2 of us, we were in the clinic for a long time, in 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. And it was, you got people traveling from 4, 6, 8 hours away to come and see you. You're not gonna turn them away. You're gonna stay and do what you can. And so, the more doctors we have, the more people we can see, the bigger impact we can have in the dental clinic. And it's an endless supply of patients. It's an endless thing. It's almost overwhelming. Meaning, of the patients that we saw, we had to sit down and say, okay, what are the 2 most important teeth that I can take care of today? Because these 8, these 10, these 12 teeth all need some sort of treatment, but we have 30 people outside lined up waiting and another 42 coming tomorrow. Like, we have to prioritize. And so you will never run out of stuff to do there. And so the more dentists that we have, we can also rotate through and stay fresh. That was a hard part that we couldn't do this time. Is Dr. Dance, he's a trooper. He deserves a medal. He hasn't taken out permanent teeth in 20 years. He's a pediatric dentist. And there he was fighting with, broken wisdom teeth and just having the best attitude in the world, and it was so great to spend time with him and with Dr. Joseph, who is the local Tanzanian dentist that we helped hire. He's there. He was incredible, and he loves to collaborate with the American dentist. He I can't tell you how many times he'd be like, Dr. Dance. And he would throw out a question, and Dr. Dance, brought some stainless steel crowns and taught him the art of stainless steel crowns on pediatric patients. And it was an incredible experience for Dr. Joseph, and a way for Dr. Dance to be able to give back. Dr. Joseph and I collaborated on tough cases. We had huge abscesses. We did external incisions and drainage. This stuff you don't see or do here. He is doing those things there. And he's only been out of school for a few years, but the stuff that he sees is incredible. And any insight that you may have as a doctor could help. And he is more than willing to be taught and to listen and to improve his skill set. And you go, he could probably teach you something as well. So it was an incredible experience in the dental clinic, um, from the doctor side of it.
Yeah, these poor guys were working so hard. Like, the dental clinic is just, again, because the lack of dentists, and like Jared said, there's actually people that drove from like 11, 12 hours away that were lying. And again, you just can't send them home, right? So these guys, were supermen. They worked some really long, hard days, and just was incredible.
So Ryan, I want you to talk about that some more, about the actual, one of the things that struck me when you guys got back was the impact that the reputation that Dental Legacy Foundation has built within our clinics over there. What impact is that having on the hospital itself? What impact is it having on the community? I mean, you guys saw people coming from further away than we've ever seen before on this last trip. And I want you to just kind of expound on that and explain what the phenomenon that's occurring over there and why it's important.
Yeah. Well, after the first day or so, I was a little worried that we were, overworking the doctors a little bit. Not that they ever expressed that. I mean,
You can never overwork a doctor. It's
Jared
impossible.
and Tom were so good, and their assistants, Marin and Caitlin, and everybody that helped in the clinic. They had such great attitudes, but from a director standpoint, I'm like, holy cow, like, this is not, what I think they're anticipating coming on this trip. It was so long, and I'm like, help me understand, like, what's going on, like, why are we having such a run with patients? And they're like, well, we advertise. And he's like, you guys are kind of famous here in Tanzania now. He's like, we put out one ad and then like people just come now. And he's like, we've got people coming from Dar, Mwanza, Arusha. Like people are just like, and it's like they could find something there, but not like you guys. Like, and so he's like, you guys are famous, and people like they stopped advertising after day one because they realized like we can't keep this pace. We're going to be lucky to see the ones that are already on their way or here in a T to see the docs. So, and again, that just goes back to Jarrett's, plea for more docs. And that is that, if we have more docs, then we can kind of see more patients, rotate the docs through. So it's not such an overwhelming day, but, yeah, the patients are just coming from farther and farther away. The reputation of the, champion American doctors that come over and help in the clinic is growing. And again, like just the reputation with the amazing doctors that we've brought since we've started. We've been so fortunate to have just the cream of the crop and the best of the best. And it's just continuing to build that reputation of the foundation. And so when docs come, they line up like it's go time, and they're ready to come and see the champion American doctors. And it's been fantastic. But like Jared says, there's just you cannot outwork the need over there. There's just such a demand for care and treatment. And again, you're having to pick and choose how much you can do for each patient when you could probably spend hours on each patient, trying to get them into where they really need to be. Um, so yeah, it's just, we've been fortunate to have just some amazing dentists and oral surgeons and pediatric dentists and orthodontists that have come over and participated in previous trips, and the reputations kind of growing as we continue to do this. People are wanting to come see and be seen, and the feedback's been good from the patients. And
So one of the things that struck me in our I think it was our first or second trip over there. Well, first of all, there's some background needed. Ryan keeps calling us the champion American doctors, and that's because when they ran their first ad, that's what they put in their ads, is that the champion American doctors were coming over. So I want a belt. I'm just saying, I just want a belt. It's not too much to ask for. Big gold one, maybe, I don't know, that big by that big. So anyway, because we were the champion American doctors, one of the things that happened, we met with the director of the hospital over there, Father Justin. We had some questions as we were still kind of getting sorted. And one of the biggest, most impactful conversations that we've had for me was when Brother Andrea, who he's a midwife over there, but he's also Father Justin's right-hand man. We were having a sit-down conversation with them. And they said that talking to us, they said, what you guys do is you bring a level of respectability and trust that doesn't just affect the dental clinics, but it also affects the entire hospital. And your presence here, there's so much distrust within the healthcare system in Tanzania. And because of that, so many patients across the board, not just dental patients, but all the patients in the hospital, or it could be potential patients, won't seek care because they don't trust the healthcare system there. And so they go untreated until it is to a point where they're on death's doorstep, or it's incredibly difficult to manage whatever it is they have going on. We've seen that already with the tumors and problems that patients have come in with, just within the dental clinic itself. But the fact that he said that you guys coming here lends a air of respectability and trust that has opened the door to patients coming not just to the dental clinic, but now they're seeking care in general, just for all of their healthcare needs, and they're coming more to the hospital. That uh, that really moved me, and it was something that I never anticipated. I never expected that. That just the dentist, we get that a lot, that we can have an impact of an entire community just by our presence and the work we're doing. So that's such a huge thing. And the quality and just the incredible stature of people, the general impressive nature of these volunteers that come over has been amazing. And you can see how they have that impact and how they help to grow that reputation. So I think that's important to kind of convey and talk about, and like one of these areas of success that one of many areas of success we didn't ever anticipate. But I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
well, to go
go,
along with that,
go ahead,
Dan,
Jared.
one experience just to maybe validate that a little more
Yeah,
is, on our after our 3rd day of 12 hours in the clinic, Dr. Dance and I were pretty tired one night. We were there till it was like 9 o'clock. And by the way, Dr. Joseph is there
Jared,
with
we're trying to get people to go, not go. So your third day of 4 hours in the clinic.
This is
Yep.
this is
kind
why you
of
left, so we don't have to do this. Dr. Dancer, we're pretty tired. We were, and as we said, Dr. Joseph is right by our side the whole time. And oftentimes we will take a little break to go get some lunch, and he won't. Like, he'll stay there and work. So he has a work ethic and he's there 7 days a week. He's on call. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he is incredible. And anyway, after our 3rd day there, we're kind of packing up and putting our loops away and getting ready to take that walk back to the kitchen to get some dinner. And Dr. Joseph goes, "Hey, you guys ready to go to the ICU?" And we're like, "I'm sorry, what, yeah, sure." He goes, "We have a patient at the ICU." So he walked us over to the ICU, and this little 11-year-old girl had a big old abscess up into so swollen up into her eye socket that it had closed her eye. And so we're getting the story, and we found out that she had been to a different hospital in the region, and they put her on antibiotics. And this was like a random saying, like a different level 5 or maybe even a level 6 hospital, but they didn't have access to a dentist anywhere. There was no dentist to come into that hospital to take care of this infection, and it was because of an infected tooth. And so they had to refer that after 3 days of being on antibiotics with little to none results. They had to refer her over to Dr. Joseph and St. Gaspar's to be treated because they didn't know how to treat this patient, but they knew that that he was there and that we were on our way. So they referred her over to the hospital so he could treat her. So we sat down, talked with the mom, and she was on IV antibiotics, and so we opted to see her the next morning. And sure enough, started the next morning. Dr. Joseph took out number 14, a broken infected tooth, and then he did an external incision and drainage and drained the infection. And by the time we got home, he had sent us a post-operative picture of how she recovered, and she looked amazing. And he was so good with her. He was so kind with her. He was so gentle with her. She was scared to death, 11-year-old. They didn't put her under. There was no sedation. Everything was local anesthetic, but the training that he is getting, part of the reason why he felt confident in doing that is because a couple times back we brought an oral surgeon who taught him to do these external incision and drainage. And so I had done several since then and felt comfortable doing that one. And it was incredible to see the impact. I mean, the impact of that girl's life as an 11-year-old has changed because of the training that Dr. Joseph saw, and then his capacity and willingness to do these procedures. And so the impact of the legacy that's being left there is continuing on. And like you're saying, Dan, this is a bit of a unique humanitarian project because we don't go in and do the work and then leave, and then people wait another 6 months or a year for us to come back. Like we're helping train Dr. Joseph, and now they have another dental therapist there, Dr. Joffrey, who's learning as well. So we're increasing the access to oral health care, not by us coming and doing the work and bringing more volunteers, but by us training the local dentist to do more, see more, be more competent in what he does, and be able to treat people while we're gone. And that is the value. If you think, oh, I'm just a pediatric dentist, nah, man, you have so much value over there. Oh, the oral surgeons are more important almost than the general dentist, but we're working on being able to build up these clinics so he can do more. He has the ability. We just, we have this line of projects. We need to get a 3D panel up there. We need to get some sort of CAD cam, some sort of milling unit, some sort of, digital, to capture some digital impressions, whatever system we decide to do. That's like the next step for this clinic that he needs. And so we're just trying to figure out the logistics and the volunteers to help us do it. So if that sounds interesting to you, or if you want to be a part of this, please contact us. Let us know. This is a huge life changing legacy impact that you're doing, and it's only going to continue to expand and get bigger across Tanzania and maybe other places. Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt. Um, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk and recognize our amazing friend Jared Galovich and Ryan. This was a special trip because of the dedication of the NICU. Could we just kind of speak to the impact and this is a big love letter to Jared and everything that he's done. He brings his family. He's so involved in what's going on and has been an incredible resource. And so, if you could just kind of talk about the NICU, talk about Jared's involvement, and maybe touch on the water tower a little bit, and just the impact that Jared's had on Jared Galovich has had on the people over there.
Yeah, I mean, Jared's had such an impact that I probably won't do him justice here, but Jared's been our friend. We met him to one of the EA events several years ago at Atlanta, Idaho, and I remember sitting in the hot springs with him and just talking about, like, how can we get together and collaborate on some stuff. Never knew that it would end up taking us all the way around the world and doing some stuff in Africa together. But uh, Jared's just this fantastic human being and has a great heart. He wanted to come on a trip with us, and then once he got over there and just started, working with the community, he just, like one of you said earlier, sees the needs, feels the need, and he did that with the vocational, the water tower project over there. Saw that the the school did not have water to water the crops, which the crops are used to pay for the kids to go to school. And I asked the director there, he's like, "What do you guys need?" And he's like, "We really need a water tower because we have access to water, but it's limited, and we just don't have a place to store it to then use it to water the plants for the rest of the day." And Jared got back, um, raised some funds, wrote a check. We got the money sent over, and they had the water tower built within 30 days. And it's a beautiful water tower that sits up on this mountain, and now provides water not just for the vocational school, for their crops, for the kids, but supplies water for 22,000 people there in the city of Manyoni. So, which has been absolutely fantastic. And then again, like working over in the hospital, Jared saw a need. Like, the hospital delivers 300 to 400 babies every month. Brother Andrea is a busy man, and a large portion of these babies are premature due to, you know, young girls having babies, poor nutrition, and just an unusual amount of premature babies. And oftentimes, Brother Andrea has to decide, because of lack of a proper NICU and equipment, which babies live and which babies die because there's just not sufficient equipment. And there was a time when there was triplets were born, and Jared was a part of that. And Brother Andrea had to choose one of the three babies, and he, that just it touched his heart, and he was like, "How can we, help more of these kids have a chance at survival?" And it was like, "Well, we need a proper NICU." And so the hospital wrote up a proposal for us of what they thought they needed at the time, submitted it. We went to work raising funds, did some fundraisers here, came up with pretty close to the full amount um, for the NICU that was proposed, um, sent over the funds. And when they started to develop the project, the government stepped in and said, "We appreciate what you're doing here, but a proper NICU for your size of hospital needs to be about 4 times this big. And so, um, so we had to kind of shift gears, and the NICU to do it properly had to really increase in size. And so the original funds that were sent to kind of move the NICU project forward actually went to just build out the wing in the hospital, the actual footprint of the NICU. And then we went back to work raising more uh, funds. Jared again was very generous in writing some checks as well from Century Serve IT, and we were able to then buy some more equipment, oxygen, some of the main things that they need over there. And so this trip, the NICU wing was done. We bought some new equipment, and they were able to, have a priest come in, dedicate the new wing of the hospital. And then we were able to, like Jared said earlier, transport all the equipment and the new and the preemies over to the new NICU. When we started, we had 7 preemies, a couple sets of twins, which was fantastic. And they were just over 2 pounds each, the twins. And when we left at the end of the week, they had 22 babies in the new NICU because the capacity had expanded, which also gives them um, opportunities to receive preemies from other locations. Now that they have the proper equipment and the facility, they were receiving transfers from other locations in the area of preemies who needed special care and treatment. And so the new NICU now has room for 36 preemies. We're still in need of some equipment. Costs about $15,000 for each of those 36 units to make a fully decked out station for each premature baby. So again, we were able to get some beds, get some things going. There's still a big need there, but Jared has been like a champion. Talk about champion American dentist or champion American IT business owner. Like he's been fantastic, and just like again seeing a need, having his heart touched, and stepping up and saving lives. Like these kids now have a chance at surviving. Again, when we were there was multiple babies just over 30 weeks gestation that were brought in, um, and need that equipment to survive and make it. So kudos to Jared. He is a fantastic human being, and again, everybody that's donated to the NICU, we've got on our website. You can go in and pick dental equipment if you'd like to make a donation for the dental equipment. Like if you want to buy the panel, you can go in on our website, select the panel, and send the funds. Um, and we had some other people, local people, like the NICU needs a refrigerator. I'm gonna donate the refrigerator for the NICU, and we were able to get the money, go downtown and buy the refrigerator that's now in the NICU. And we had other local people here donate like some of the equipment that we needed for each of those stations. And so we were able to go down and again get the equipment that we needed and supply that. So if you want to help contribute, the website's got all sorts of options for you. You can donate, make a reoccurring donation. You can select specific items that you would like to contribute to the dental clinic, to the NICU, and to again further this project along, which is just again taking legs. And so we were able to again dedicate the NICU this time. It was pretty awesome. We got to cut the ribbon. The music was fantastic, the songs, and again, we missed Dan and Lindsay weren't there this time, and they've been a big part of this as well. So we were a little bummed not to have the whole team there, but
October.
and
Be there in
fantastic
October.
experience. And then some of the volunteers spent the rest of the week bathing preemies every day. So every preemie had to get bathed every morning. So some of the volunteers were over there given some bathing babies for several hours every day, which was again fantastic. Yeah, it was fun to see. Yeah.
Well, I think I would eventually. I think we should do another episode and talk about the future. What projects we're working on, the direction that Dental Legacy Foundation is going, some of the cool stuff that we've got going on. I
One
would,
one other story before we leave, I think that
yeah,
we got to tell about this trip was the EMS group. We were again, they weren't sure how they would help contribute this time, but on one of the nights they had an infant about a 10-month-old that fell into a fire and was horribly burnt, aspirated the ash. And just because, people still cook there with traditional fires. And so they had this baby brought into the hospital and that was in some critical situation. And they had the EMS team there to help. They couldn't get an IV started on the baby, and it wasn't looking very good. But one of the EMS group, they remembered that in the supplies they brought was a special needle. It was an IO needle or something that they used to tap into the tibia and start IVs directly to the bone marrow. They didn't have the drill for the needle, but the EMS guy just hand drilled it into the tibia, and they were able to start an IV on this infant that otherwise, probably would not have made it. And again, by the end of the week, he was recovering. The EMS group left money for his continued treatment because the family couldn't afford to, help provide financial support for the baby. And so really life saving. Again, all the equipment they brought, like Jared said, it was like Christmas morning. They brought like, $10,000 worth of equipment for the hospital. And just again, the amazing things that happen when volunteers step up and come. And again, this is going to be a life that was saved by having those people there. Otherwise, there's no way that infant would have made it. And so,
it's incredible. The things that are done over there, unreal. And that EMS crew was fantastic. The
yeah,
Blaine County EMS crew, huge thank you to them for coming. I think we need to make sure we thank Caitlin and the folks over at Dental Intel for they've been an amazing donor to the Dental Legacy Foundation, and have supported us. They're supporting us again in October. So massive thank you for Caitlin and her involvement in coming, and just Dental Intel in general for picking up the mantle and taking this cause on. So we just thank them so much. And if you're one of the people that listening that um I want you to take a second and ask yourself if you're listening to this for a reason, and if you're one of the sets of ears that this is hitting that is by design. One of the biggest things that can be done is by telling others what we're doing. So if you're hearing this now, if this is resonating, and you're thinking about volunteering, please do. But also tell tell the rest of the dental community about what's going on. Spread the word of the work we're doing. And that's a massive way to contribute to the work that we're doing over in Tanzania. And of course, if you guys want to get involved, like these guys have both said, go check out dentallegacyfoundation.org. There's a lot of ways to help out, and everything from donations to volunteering. And again, to just spreading the word of what we're doing. So go to dentallegacyfoundation.org. We are on social media as well. Go check out some of the photos. Ryan, do you think we can embed some of the photos in this, some of the work we did into this episode?
we can try for sure. So,
Okay. If not, just reach out to us. We'll send them to you. Heck, we'll text you. Any other parting shots before we take off?
Yeah, I wanted to say this real quick. If you're a spouse of a dentist and you're like, I'm not in the clinic, I don't know anything about, come. Spouses, and kids, we've had kids up to, probably starting the age around 14 or 15, when you're comfortable because, it's rural Africa, right? You're not staying in an overwater bungalow in Tahiti, right? This is definitely rural Africa, but it is absolute life-changing experiences for your teenagers and for your spouses. this specific effort after our first trip was what really jump started my wife into wanting to be involved more in the clinic. Ever since she was over there and helped and saw the need. She's the type of personality is kind of like Jared Galvich, where she sees a need and then she helps come up with the solution. So she has taken upon herself to really be in charge of all the supplies of the clinic. So she will spend months ahead of time talking with the upcoming doctors and dentists and the dental supply reps and coordinate, make sure we have all the burrs and the composites and the bonds and the cottons and all the little things that we don't even think about as dentists. You just show up and they're in your office. She makes sure that that happens, because our first year we didn't have that and we were scrambling a lot, and we were like, oh man, but so your spouse can come and if they don't like blood, nobody like there's lots of ways to become involved. If it's somebody who just likes to take pictures or likes to document or likes to, there's talents that can be used to further this project and further the work. And maybe this is the place for you to discover that talent. Maybe you don't know what it is yet, but if you have, like Ben said, if you have the desire, or if it's just something that's pulling your heartstrings, reach out, get involved. We'll figure out a way to make you useful in an area where they can use every bit of help that they can get.
Amen, brother. Ryan, any other thoughts before we sign off?
If you're in San Antonio, first week in October, we're working on a pickleball fundraiser down there. So more
Oh, yes.
information
Thank you
to
for
come.
bringing that up.
But if you like pickleball and San Antonio, well, we'll be there in October. So
Awesome. Okay. Again, on our website, check it out. On social media, check it out. Thank you for listening, everybody. And we will see you next time. Cheers.
Adios.